My friends in Europe, check this one out. Many European airports will struggle to stave off insolvency without state help. That's a bailout. Help unless the travel recovers from the slump by the end of the year. That's not a good sign, of course, because there's no possible way that they're going to be able to bail all of them out. As a result, there's going to be some mergers and acquisitions. There's going to be support there. However, you look at where all the debt is, and the companies that have too much debt, not enough assets, not enough revenue, they're going to go down. Jobs will be lost. And then you have something even more important than all of that is that the assets begin basically going away. They go to the private hands, individuals, the wealth being transferred away. And this has happened. I saw in Greece as an example years ago where they had to sell off the airports. They were selling off everything. Here we go for Europe. Unemployment could be as high as 2.5 million in the UK, with 1 in 5 young people out of work. I believe this was sent to me by a subscriber, and you can just see how the effect of what we are looking at when the economy has basically just been completely decimated. Of course, that's going to affect jobs. Of course, people are going to be out of work. It's very easy to determine that. And here we have the statistics piling up everywhere. All right, I need to move through this really quickly. I know I'm going over time. U.S. states face the biggest cash crisis since the Great Depression. We know that there are some that are hurting much more than others. Look at what's going on with the pensions in these areas like Illinois and others. There's no possible way that they can actually get out of it. They want a bailout, but what's going to happen? They're going to be selling off their assets. I'm telling you right now, pay attention to that. We've already seen this on many cases around the world, and we know that this will in fact be happening, and it is in a crisis when these kind of things occur. People are worried, and you know what happens when they get worried. They rush to the store, they start buying everything last minute. Food stockpiling is back with a 3,400% pantry surge. Unbelievable, but we know that this is going on all around, and it doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. That means, you know it, prices are going to go higher. Prices are going to go higher, and we're heading into the winter time frame when we generally do see, for instance, produce prices going higher. Of course, this is going to be an issue for a lot of people, putting yet an even more of a constriction on their spending. This was part of a survey that was done regarding Black Friday 2020. How excited are Americans about it? Check out these stats. 52% of Americans are excited about Black Friday shopping this year. You know, that kind of number is kind of just thrown out there, but 37% of Americans intend to reduce their shopping budget this Black Friday. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's concern, they don't know what's happening, maybe they lost their job, and so on. But this one here is key. 49% of Americans plan to do most of their Black Friday shopping online. What does that tell you about where the money is moving to right here now in 2020? All those retail stores, all those establishments that were used to getting people rushing in on those days, you know that these companies are going to have a lot of the similar activities online. That is a big hit to a lot of these companies, and those who are essentially doing things online might benefit from that. This article is talking about Robinhood, and essentially they literally, this is the quote, this is from the co-CEO, I believe, it's talking about the stimulus checks, okay? We saw an impact of people depositing their stimulus checks into Robinhood. We saw, deposits that were equal to or multiples of the stimulus amount. They literally said people got their stimulus check, they deposited in their Robinhood account, and then they started buying stocks they didn't know what the hell they were. That just shows you how the money is being put into good use, right? You probably recognize this. You're looking at the US debt clock, and there's so many good statistics on here, but there's something that I just wanted to highlight really quickly. Couple things. Median income now is $34,500. And by the way, if you've never seen the US debt clock before, this is all sourced material, so you can get a sense of where the numbers are coming from by putting your mouse over each of these sections. But anyway, median income now, $34,500. Look at where it was back in 2000, $30,800 and change. Okay, so it has moved up, let's just say 4,000 over this period of time, 20 years. All right, median new home back in 2000, 167,000. Now 324,000. It is nearly double the amount. Does that make sense to you? When you have your home prices that are accelerating in a straight line upward, and yet the wages are barely budging. Okay, what does that do? Well, of course, that hurts people. It doesn't benefit them. It does not benefit them when it's in this way. Both of them need to be rising, or at least at a similar pace, or you are going to run into problems. Okay, they've got some other things in here, but I mean, this is just shocking to me. Living in poverty. So they're saying if they're at or below the poverty line, then they come up on this stat. And there are over 35 million people in the United States today that come up on that. To me, it is just unbelievable to see how aggressive these stats are, and it just shows you how bad things have become over the years. I read on here the food stamps, there it is, it's 45 million. I think the number had actually started to decline slightly and then maybe picked back up, because I think it was near somewhere around that 40 million. But ultimately, it's not a good stat, and there's no possible way that it can be turned around by the Federal Reserve printing money. Thousands more Walt Disney World cast members laid off in another wave of emails. So it looks like this is part of that 28,000 layoffs that they had already announced. In that case there, it just shows you how significant some of this is. We're talking about a lot of jobs in so many different industries. It's not just JCPenney. It isn't just one or the other. We're looking at it all over the place. Okay, this is a connected article, and essentially what they're saying here is that Carpenters Local 1820 has announced that Disney plans to lay off 184 of its members across 19 different positions. We're talking about mechanics for the cars and buses, welders, carpenters, and so on. The reason I mention this here is that it's not just, for instance, an individual sitting there ripping your ticket all day. This affects other people, other industries. How about all of the food that has to come into those parks? How about all of the different industries that are bringing jobs in from the outside that aren't necessarily even employed by Disney? That's something to think about. I know a lot of people would say, yeah, who cares? We don't care about Disney. We don't care about JCPenney and all this. But there are so many different industries that are affected when we have this taking place. Charles Schwab to cut 1,000 jobs in TD Ameritrade integration. What happens every time one company buys out the other? It's pretty obvious. You cut jobs. A lot of what I have seen is that when one company comes into the other, they look at the back office, for instance. Those people are doing this paperwork. Our guys are doing that paperwork. It's pretty much the same thing. You get that one group to teach the other group how it's done, and then you ask them. That's the way it goes. If you've got the mail room where the documents are coming in, it's working the same way for both companies. Why do you need all of the staff for both? You could simply run that process through the one that's already existing, and you just cut the people. This is what goes on all the time. As a result of that, the company becomes more lean. They love that. It is quote unquote increased productivity. As a result, the stock price may actually rise, but you got more people kicked to the curb. There's some more detail in here if you want to read it, but of course, all I'm trying to mention is that when you see mergers and acquisitions that tend to take place not necessarily prior to a crisis, but could come afterwards, and that really enhances how many people are laid off and also puts weakness in the industry as a whole if other companies are thinking this is the direction many will go. Concerned about election unrest, Beverly Hills will close Rodeo Drive. Isn't it interesting what's going on here when you see so many people, all that pent up anger coming out throughout this period of time? We're going to see what happens in the coming week. I think it's just interesting to see. I wanted to make mention of it because you can see how the economy can be disrupted by any number of forces. You've heard me talk about the student debt crisis. You've heard me talk about debt in general, the commercial mortgage-backed securities, what has happened in the real estate market over the years. And this is another level. Check this out. Empty dorms are putting pressure on U.S. colleges to help investors in the approximately $14 billion student housing debt market, adding to the strain on schools already dealing with crisis. Now, this right here just shows you that there are so many different levels of problem that are happening, and debt is at the center. Connected in with debt that connects each other, let's say, are the derivatives. The derivatives are so important, but nobody understands and doesn't want to even look at it. Ask somebody in the financial industry. I specifically spoke with somebody who only deals with high net worth clients. This person here said, we don't touch derivatives. We don't get anywhere near that stuff. And that's it. That's the end of the knowledge for that person. Look, they just invest in stocks, they invest in the bonds, they put their money where their clients would like them to preserve their wealth, and they don't put anything into derivatives, but they don't even understand how all of this financial system is connected like that. We have an issue here. They're talking about the 10% enrollment drop. You look at what the prospects are in the near future for a lot of these students. It is not good. This is another issue that I'd like to get in a little deeper on a future video, that's for sure. That's all for this video. If you found it informative, hit that thumbs up button. By clicking one button, you support me. Thank you very much. If you want to learn how to sell stuff online, you're interested in e-commerce, you can learn for free. You don't have to pay anything. The AmazonGPS.com. If you want to understand the financial system from top to bottom, from A to Z, you can learn everything you need to know in these two books. Check the link in the description if you want the audiobook instead, themoneygps.com. Wait, hang on, don't go anywhere. Watch this video. You definitely want to see it. Click it. I'll see you there.